Well, we're going to do a 2-bedroom apartment, and as you can see, it's got a fairly heavy stain here in the living room. This is where their sofa and everything was at. Those are hard to get out. And right there by the front entrance. Walk around just real quick here. What we're going to do first is he's going to go around with the brush attachment on the Oreck. This bedroom's not really too bad. And there's a good little stain right there. And everything else looks pretty good. We're going to go over it first with the Oreck brush, which she's got attached to the Oreck right now. Then we're going to scrub the pre-spray in. And we're going to see what we can do with this traffic area, because a lot of times with these, the carpet has been, the fibers of the carpet have been deteriorated to the point that you'll never make it match the cleaner parts of the carpet. So we're going to see what happens with that, because we'll probably have what's called a grade area. It's going to be like a tinge to the carpet. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, he's going to start up. So. Now he's not going to necessarily hit everything on the carpet with just a brush. He's trying to get the traffic areas and the heavy stains. And the stains aren't probably going to come out. They may lighten a little bit, but they're not going to come out with the brush. He's just getting the pre-spray in there, so the bonnet was going to actually absorb everything. Now the pre-spray we used on this one, we just used a cap full of liquid Tide to a 2-gallon sprayer. We've been using Tide a lot lately because it makes the carpet smell pretty good and it's inexpensive. And it's doing a good job on the darker stains so far. It may be an embedded area. The people here had a pet, and so there's going to be some pet damage. There's a lot of things in this carpet that, you know, or maybe things that they need to get repaired if they want to, but they kind of tore along the seam here. It's been torn up a little bit, but not real bad. So the fiber's already being raised up, so the nap's being restored. We cleaned this carpet about a year ago for the former resident. They paid us to come clean it before they moved out. And this was one of the nicest carpets that they've ever put in to this property. So it's kind of bad when the people that moved in after that didn't take care of it at all. I hope we can get it back to looking like it did. But they put a lot of hard wear and tear on it.
Whatever that is, it's hard. It's probably some kind of iron burn or something from a curling iron.
Okay, now that's the worst stain in the whole apartment right there.
Lifting it right out too.
Yeah, it's getting it loose, so that's a good sign. Hopefully it'll all come out with the bonnet.
It'll come out.
This is one of those really thick carpets, and when we pre-vacuumed it, it's hard to vacuum because it's so thick. And a lot of carpets like that, when they're real thick like that, you need to make sure that you have the right kind of vacuum for it, because it'll burn out a lesser vacuum. If you're having trouble getting your brush roll to turn on a regular upright vac, then you might want to raise it up one more high setting, or just be careful because they can overheat. We've burned a vacuum out once on really thick carpet.
Probably the cord.
Because it was just too thick to vacuum with that vacuum cleaner. So that's already a lot better. Let's see if it looks good from every angle. It's still going to take some work.
Okay, I got to brush the hall and a little bit of the bedrooms. You always want to brush your carpet laying areas like your hallways. You want to brush those.
Yeah, also a reminder, I've said this before, but if you use this brush on dry carpet, it's really good at restoring the nap if you want to do a real quick touch-up on your carpets. It's also good to do it as a pre-vacuuming step, so that you get stuff that's embedded in the carpet down deep, you get it all broken loose, and so it's ready to pick up with your vacuum cleaner. But be aware when you're doing it dry that you're going to stir up a lot of dust if you got a lot of dust in your carpet. So if you've got asthma or allergies, you want to be careful doing anything that's going to stir all that stuff up, so you have to maybe breathe a little bit of it.
You want to go in here?
So far we don't have any breathing problems, so we can keep doing this. There's not a lot of, well, there's some stains. Hopefully nothing's going to be real bad in here.
Here I'm just getting the area where people walk in the room. They walk in and out of the room a bunch of times a day, and it wears out the carpet in that area in the entryway.
Mats it down.
All right, let's go to the next room. That'll be it for the brush. I'm just going to hit a few spots in here real quick.
This has a big, yeah, this has a big closet. I could live in that closet.
Okay. That's, like I said over here, so. When you use this brush, if you see any areas that are dark, just run over real quick with the brush. It really helps you a lot not to have the bonnet clean as much. It loosens the stuff up so it comes right into the bonnet. Okay, just wait here and I'll go get the pad and we'll just start right here. Do this room first and work our way through.
Well, we're going to do these rooms pretty quick. If you want to try to stay tuned, we're going to get to this stain. And this is going to be the hardest thing to get out, but I think it'll be okay.
One more thing here.
Okay, he's got the bonnet down, and the driver just has little teeth in it that grip it. It's kind of like Velcro, and so it just grabs onto the bonnet, and it's kind of hard to take the bonnet off sometimes. But and did you pre-spray the bonnet or soak it?
I soaked it in the sink.
Okay, so on this one he just soaked the bonnet.
I soaked it for a while. It's wet. It'll help it. The reason you soak the bonnets is not because it helps to clean the carpet. You soak the bonnet so when you first start the machine on, the machine will it'll spin across the carpets easy. If you have a dry bonnet, when you turn the machine on, you have so much friction it can actually damage the carpets a little bit. So you want the bonnet to be wet to avoid friction damage.
Yeah, if you put pre-spray on it or if you soak it, either one of those will give it a little bit of that moisture that it needs to work with. You just don't want to use dry bonnets. Now, if your carpet was soaking wet, soaking wet, you might be able to throw a dry bonnet down, try to soak the water up, but you don't want to do it on a carpet that is not pretty damp. Now the banging that you hear sometimes is because of the orbital motion, so when you're going along a door or something like that, you can, as it orbits, it's just gonna bump it on a couple of revolutions, so that's why it sounds like that sometimes. If it was just a regular side-to-side buffer, then it'd be more smooth as it goes around.
Okay, I gotta get the closet. That's hard for them to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big closet. He's doing that. Yeah, these rooms won't take a lot. We're getting the nap restored and just giving the carpet a fresher appearance. There are some little stains here and there. Now some of these are permanent stains. There's not, you know, you can only do so much on a stain if it doesn't come out after you know, a few seconds of scrubbing. There's a chance it's a permanent stain, and you don't want to wear the carpet out by scrubbing in one spot for too long. So most of these carpets we deal with, they have stains in them that'll never come out. So you just do the best you can and just don't worry about it.
They want to move away from the window. You want that light to come in there. We have a difficult time sometimes getting enough sunlight to come into windows so we can film.
Well, the other problem too is sometimes we're in a dark room, and since we have a camera that does everything automatically, we think it's going to be a really dark video, and what it does is it overboosts it to compensate for low light, so it has a really bizarre, unnatural look to it. We never know how it's going to look until it's done. So a lot of times you see a carpet and we've had carpets that are like almost chocolate colored, and they come out as, you know, just a light tan because of the overcompensation of the camera. The video we did a couple times back, I was talking through the whole video about how it was low light and you probably wouldn't be able to see anything, and then when we watched the video, it was so overboosted that it was like overly bright, but it was all artificial. Some of the stains that we have, I see them on camera, but they don't show up to the naked eye, and so it's kind of hard on these videos sometimes to show them. If we could find a way to show exactly what we're seeing, that'd be great, but it's hard to do that. This room won't take very long. Now he'll get behind the door and in the closet and everything. On some of our videos, we don't actually show the closets being cleaned or behind the doors, just depending on, you know, how we feel that day. But we always do it because that's one thing you don't want is for somebody to look behind the door or look in the closet real carefully and see that you really haven't done a thorough job, because it's just unprofessional. There's even little utility closets in all these apartments, and they have like a water heater in there. And we always kind of touch up the carpet behind that little door, because just in case somebody looks, you certainly don't want them to open the door and find a bunch of, you know, crumbs and debris. So we always vacuum them and try to keep them clean if they need it. And one thing also is important when we vacuum, we make sure and do the baseboards real good, because not just the baseboards, but the door jambs. If you have crumbs and little particles in there, it shows up. And most people, when they vacuum, they don't really pay attention to that. But trust me, when you're looking at a brand new apartment that you're thinking about renting, you're going to notice little things like crumbs along the baseboards. So it's very important to do a thorough job vacuuming those places. This machine does a good job of getting along the edges real good. You only have that little spot in the corner that's hard to get to, and most of the time that doesn't have, you know, the carpet's not dirty there. If it is, we just have to get it with a hand brush or something. Now this is one of those days that it's actually pretty cool outside, and although the sun's out, it's been raining for the last couple of days, and actually it's been ice and everything. So this is one of those days that if we had to use an extractor to do these carpets, it would take a lot longer for them to dry. We usually get carpets dry in about 3 to 4 hours with an extractor, but on a day like today, depending on how the weather goes later in the afternoon, an extractor, you may have these carpets wet, you know, even damp slightly the next day, which you don't want. With this, we're going to be able to know for sure the carpets will be dry within a couple of hours, worst case scenario. Okay, and that stain there may be permanent.
No, it came out.
Good. On these machines, you don't really have the ability, like with a traditional buffer, where you can heal the machine to kind of scrub a spot. It doesn't really heal because of the oscillating motion. So what you do, you have to kind of play with it a little bit. What Jay likes to do is he just stands the handle straight up.
You just aim it up like this and just put some little downward pressure.
Yeah, and then he can push down a little bit.
It's actually better than healing a side-to-side buffer. It takes the stains out of put any pressure on them at all.
There's a little one right there.
Hang on. There?
Yep.
Just fingertip pressure is all it is.
Now we've thought about investing in like a 17-inch side-to-side buffer maybe in the future, but this is an upstairs apartment we're doing now, and I would sure hate to have to haul.
We don't want to carry one up the stairs.
Yeah, I mean we're twins, by the way. We're 50 years old, and we don't want to haul 17-inch buffers up and down stairs. So this is a nice lightweight machine, and at the end of the day, it doesn't kill your back.
Get this part of the hallway, then I'll move the cords completely out of the way.
One place where this, where the Oreck excels is on your thresholds, because on thresholds, which is where the carpet meets the linoleum or whatever, those areas always tend to get dark and dingy looking, and they get worn. And this does a really good job of restoring the nappa, and it cleans those areas real well. And that's one spot that probably in most people's houses they kind of don't like the look of. You can see the outline of the tack strip that's underneath there and everything, and this is a really good machine for getting those areas looking nice again. Okay, he's moving the cord. Now this cord's 50 foot long, so you can actually stay in one outlet and do an entire apartment. But it's kind of something you want to move it so it's going to be as much out of your way as possible.
I always like to have it behind me, so I don't have to step around it.
And it's one of those really soft, thick cords. The insulation on it is, so it has a tendency to stick to itself if you let it get twisted up at all. So there's times you're fighting with the cord a little bit because you got so much up to deal with, but at least it's a heavy, thick, cord. It's good quality. But you always want to take care of the cord. Try not to step on it, and try not to put it in areas where other people are going to maybe be inclined to walk on it, especially when it's on a hard surface. On a carpet, it has some absorbency to it. If you step on it, it's not as big a deal, but you want to try to avoid stepping on these cords. You can see he's trying to hold a little tension up at the handle so he doesn't have the cord pulled tight. You don't want to pull the cord tight where it goes into the machine at.
Okay, here's the dirtiest carpet in the house right here.
And I'm going to step over here so I can get a better angle.
This is the part of the video that everybody wants to see, I'm sure. We'll get behind the door last of all so we can have plenty of good light coming in.
Looks like it's doing a pretty good job. Yeah, one thing when you clean carpet, we're cleaning these carpets here, we're doing this professionally, but we actually do a good job on the carpets because we want to be able to walk away and feel proud of the job that we did. We don't want to have any stains. There's some of these carpets we probably could get out of them faster and leave some more of the stain behind, and nobody's going to really care. But we just want to, you want to take pride in your work, and you want to spend a little extra time, and then there's a time when it's time to say that's it, and you walk away, and there's no more you can do. But hopefully we can get this carpet looking brand new again, because it really was a very nice carpet, nice and fluffy and thick. And so hopefully we can restore it to what it was once before. It's just a shame to see a nice carpet not last as long as it could. Now, I don't know if you remember when the video started, how this area looked. It already lightened it quite a bit when we brushed it, but it's really starting to look a lot better. Now, the pre-spray we put down, we just put it down with a 2-gallon sprayer, and we've got at least an hour of good time to work with that before we need to worry about it maybe getting a little bit too dry. Today is a cool day, but we've got both the doors open because you get kind of hot when you're working. But we don't have to worry about the pre-spray drying up too fast.
We put the spray down real wet too.
Yeah, we put it down pretty thick because we knew this rug was going to be a bad one. So you can pre-spray a carpet, and you've got some time to work with it, so you don't have to worry about the carpets getting too dry too fast. But once you go over with the bonnet pretty good, it's going to absorb everything out of there, and you're only going to have some residual moisture, and that's going to dry usually in an hour.
Shut the door and let me get behind it, and you can open it back up again.
Step over a little bit different angle, just in case. Sometimes you think you're getting a really good video of a bad stain coming out, and then you check the video later and you were at a bad angle and the lighting wasn't as good as you hoped it would be. So I want to make sure and try to...
This is where it was real heavy stain, right here where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst spots in the whole apartment.
Now again, that area there is caused because people have a couch or something there, and they're putting their shoes down on the floor, on the carpet right in front of the sofa when they're sitting down. And what people do is they start grinding their heels into the carpet over and over, and it's a spot where everybody walks, and so all the dirt ends up coming off their shoes when they sit down there. So those parts of the carpet are usually worn out, and they're usually stained. But when you have the graying effect, which is where the fibers have started to come apart, and it's like blooming, but you have the whole fiber almost coming unraveled. And so what happens is the light just doesn't reflect the same in that area of the carpet as on an area that's still got carpet in good condition. And so you're going to have a little bit of a tinge there. It's kind of a transition area. And then even though you can get the carpet clean, you can't always get it to look the same. So what we're paid to do is get the carpet clean. We can't fix the wear. Wear is something that nobody can really do anything about. That's something where eventually they just replace the carpets. But at least the carpet will be clean. But I'm pretty sure when this is done, it may not all look uniform, but there's only so much you can do. And the important thing too is even in your own home, if you can make the carpets stretch out and last a little longer, it's a lot better than having to replace them all the time, because carpets are just going to get dirty in most houses, and that's just something you can't help. It's going to happen. So the best thing to do is find a way to kind of keep them clean, and hopefully the stains won't be too bad and you can live with them. And eventually, of course, you're going to want to replace your carpets, but this is a good machine to maintain them with, and hope to make them last years and years. One of the problems in this apartment is people living in here and they're not vacuuming, they're not doing anything to take care of the carpet, and if they spill something, they're not too worried about it, because it's a rental property. So what happens is, you know, it's not like in your home where you kind of keep everything clean. They don't bother to keep anything clean, so once dirt and everything's been allowed to dwell on the carpet for a long period of time, it starts breaking the carpet down and ruining it. So these are like worst case scenario carpets here. Hopefully the carpet in your house is not comparable to this. Now when we get done with the bonnet, what we're going to do is use the Grande Green carpet rake is what we're going to use. And we're going to brush all the carpet so all the fibers are standing up and they're kind of all look uniform. That's going to help the final drying, and that's going to give it a nice fresh appearance when people walk in to see the apartment. They're going to be impressed because the carpet is all smooth and has the same texture. So what he's doing now, he's going to get, once he's done the whole carpet once, he's going to just keep going back over areas that he thinks could use a little more work, see if any more of the dirt or stain will come out. And since a lot of it is permanent stain and some of it's just wear, there's only so much you can do. So at a certain point, he's just going to give up on the whole thing. But this carpet's clean. Now we don't video a lot of our jobs because it does take a little bit of time, because ordinarily I'd be getting the carpets raked in the rooms he's already done, because a lot of times we're in a hurry and we don't have time to shoot a video. And we did a job before we came to this apartment, and we just needed to get it done and get out of there, so we didn't try to video it. This one we have a little more time to work with, so we're making a video in here. We try to video, if we get an especially dirty carpet, we always want to try to video those because they're more interesting to watch. But sometimes we just don't have the time to do it, so luckily we had the time to get this one today. And we like it too because we have more of a permanent record of the work we've done. If you just went out and cleaned the carpets, came home at the end of the day, your satisfaction would be the paycheck. But we've got the satisfaction of being able to, see the videos. And it's really nice is when we've done all these apartments a few times, is we can see what the apartment looked like when we finished it the last time, so we can kind of tell how bad the carpet was before we even go in there. So it's nice to keep a video record of your work when you can.
I'll say something in case, if some of you buy these machines, one nice thing about them is this. I'll stop it for a second and talk. The carpets, when they lay the carpets, they'll lay the carpets towards those windows. And whenever you go towards the windows, it's easy to pass over with the machine, it glides over. If you want to get extra scrubbing, turn the machine back around the other way and go the opposite direction. It scrubs harder because it scrubs against the carpet, against the direction the carpet's laid. That makes you scrub harder. When you got dirty areas, you want to scrub them two directions. Scrub them towards the way it's laid and scrub them against the way the carpet's laid. If you get a machine, you'll see because one direction it's harder and the other direction it's easier, and you'll know when you're going against the carpet because it'll be harder to push the machine.
Yeah, you probably notice in your house some areas your vacuum cleaner has to work a little harder. Maybe even if it's one of those with a floating head on the front, it bounces a little bit. And that's because you're going against the nap when you go one direction, and then it's easier if you go the opposite direction. So when you vacuum, it's a good idea to hit the carpet from multiple angles, because if you're going where you're laying the nap down instead of opening it up, it's going to tend to keep some of the dust and dirt from being picked up. So it's good to go, and this is why we kind of go from multiple angles too. Even though we have an oscillating pad and it's scrubbing from all sides pretty much as you go, it's still good to try a different angle, because you want to find an area where it feels like you're cooperating with the nap of the carpet instead of fighting against it. And it's a lot easier, and you can get a lot more stuff out.
You can do the same principle with a carpet extractor like a rug doctor or a Bizzle green machine. You want to clean against the carpets. You want to clean against the grain if you can. It makes them work harder and scrubbing deeper. We're about done with this.
Well, this only took 28 minutes to bonnet clean.
It had a lot of stains in it. A lot of dark.
Now I'm gonna put links to the Oreck orbiter and the brush and the bonnet in the video description below, and you may have to scroll down to find them. And I'll put down any other information on anything that we did up here that maybe you wouldn't pick up from just watching the video. And I'm going to use the carpet rake next, and I'll come back and I'm going to do that and then show you what it looks like when we're done. So everything is pretty good. So stay tuned to see how it looks after it's raked. And then if you can, hit like on the video, because we appreciate that and it helps us. And if you have a question or comment, feel free to leave that for us. And we'd love it if you'd subscribe, because we like to make these videos, and it's very nice to know that when we put them up, people are going to see them from the first day. And so that way you always have the new videos in your subscription feed. So stay tuned for just a little bit longer, and we'll rake these carpets up and you can see the final result. Okay, the bedrooms are raked now. I'll show those real quick because I can't, once I rake the hallway, I don't want to have to come back down here. So they look pretty good. All that's left now is to just rake this living room real quick, so stay tuned. Okay, now the hallway and the living room are both raked. And as I suspected, there's going to be a little bit of a darker look to that area there because of all the traffic and all the wear and tear on the carpets. But, sometimes all you can do is clean the carpet, and you can't help the fact that there's going to be some staining and everything's going to remain. That's something you always have to remember. You didn't put the stains in the carpet, someone else neglected it, and they're the ones who run these things for everybody. So, but you can tell when I finish raking it how smooth everything looks now. And of course I use this rake here, the Grande Groom, which is probably the best selling carpet rake that there is, and it works really well. And it's got these flexible tines on it, and it's pretty good for doing carpets, and I guess people use it for AstroTurf, and other than that it's useless for anything else. So it's definitely a specialty piece. But thanks for watching the video, and check the links below if you want to get more information on any of these products that we used. And till then, stay tuned for the next video, hopefully coming up later in this week. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Well, it's the next morning, and since this apartment was basically unlocked for the manager to come check later, I want to come back up and take another look at this carpet the next morning when it's completely dry. And it's kind of dark out today, but it's a lot better looking than it was yesterday. A lot of the darkness that we had in the final video we shot yesterday after it was raked was just moisture still, because we had to scrub that spot so those stains so much. There was a lot of moisture in the carpet, and it shows up on the camera as being pretty dark. Let me see if I turn a light on, if it helps to see. It's a lot better than it looked yesterday. There's still some wear in the carpet right here, and it's going to leave a darker tinge to that area. But the spot over there by the door isn't so bad. So it looks a little better than I thought it was going to look. I'll turn that light back off and see. Yeah, and of course I don't know how the camera's going to, with this low light, it's probably going to boost the image and make it look funny. But the carpet actually looks a lot better, and with the naked eye, it looks fine. So I just want to double check it. Usually we can't get back into these apartments to show what the carpets look like the next day. They always look better the next day when they're completely dry. But luckily this time I got a chance to do it, so you can see it's not too awfully terrible. So anyway, I'll put this at the end of the video, and so you'll see it as part of that. So thanks for watching, and keep watching for our next video. Hopefully we're going to have one out in a couple days. Thanks. Bye.